What's up guys, Colin back with another YouTube video. I'm actually in the Bahamas right now. As you can see behind me, I'm at the SLS in Baha Mar. Decided to take the family down here for a week. Hayden's got a couple weeks left before school, so we're gonna do this and we're gonna take my parents to Mexico, do a little family vacation there and end off summer right. And didn't wanna leave you guys hanging on the content. I put out a couple videos already introducing myself. Next up, I wanted to talk a little bit about mindset and before I jump into like how to set up the business, how to start sourcing properties, how to talk to landlords, all that, I want to talk about mindset and what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur, stuff you're going to deal with on a daily basis, and how you can overcome these things. But before I get started, I want to show you guys the view. I don't know if you've ever been to the Bahamas or Baha Mar. This is on the other side of the island compared to Atlantis. That's where I think everyone's kind of goes and is familiar with. Baha Mar's a little bit newer. The hotels here, everything's a little bit more new and updated. It's nice. Atlantis has, its own water park like Baha Mar. The Baha Mar one is really good too. Hayden just turned 48 inches, so she can go on all the slides. They're down there right now having a blast. Back to being an entrepreneur and the things that you're gonna overcome and you're gonna have to deal with on a daily basis. I wanna talk to you a little bit about overcoming challenges. As an Airbnb entrepreneur, you're gonna be faced with lots of challenges in this business. And that's like any business really, right? Like it's not as cut and dry as a lot of these gurus and influencers on social media make it seem to be. Like, you're just basically gonna talk to a landlord, get permission, lease the property, and then it's gonna be smooth sailing. Like there's always gonna be problems in every business. And the better you are at problem solving and handling stress, the better entrepreneur you're gonna be. And Airbnb is no different, right? It has a laundry list of problems that can occur. You're gonna have to deal with, unruly guests breaking your shit. The main thing here is to stay calm. There's a solution to every problem. Don't dwell on, the bad shit that's gonna happen, because there's gonna be times that, you're gonna wanna quit, you're gonna wanna give up. You're gonna say, fuck this business sucks. I don't wanna do it. But then you're gonna have, amazing guests that make you happy that you are doing it, and you're gonna see profit from your units, and you're gonna realize that it was worth it. It's just like I said, just like every other business, they come with highs and lows. There's gonna be points where you wanna give up, or you think it may not be worth it, or you're having trouble trying to source a deal, landlords are telling you no, and you just can't get one to say yes. Like that happened to me when I first started. Took me about 3 months to source my first deal, and now I have over 100 units. And once I made a couple connections with a few different property managers, I was off to the races, because I got in and created those connections and networked, and that opened the door to thousands of units to me, right? So that can happen very quick in this business. You can call a couple landlords and you can get a yes right away, and they may have a portfolio of 1,000 units, and then you may be able to build your entire business with them. The hardest part is going to be the acquisitions phase, and that's where a lot of people give up. And you just got to keep hitting the phones, keep sending emails, keep trying to network and talk to landlords, property managers, and eventually you're going to get your foot in the door, and you're going to get some units, and then you're going to establish a relationship with that landlord, and you're going to grow your portfolio and make tens of thousands of dollars. So I think why a lot of entrepreneurs in other businesses and in the Airbnb business fail is because they didn't have a clear roadmap. They didn't hire a mentor to learn from. They didn't know how to get to A to Z when they learned on their own. They went on YouTube. They just tried to find, any information on the business, but they didn't know the actual process to get from A to Z and get a profitable unit up and running, right? So that can be a huge issue. And I think that, when you don't have a mentor and you don't have someone that you can reach out to ask questions, because there's gonna come a time in the road where you hit that roadblock. And that's where a lot of people are gonna give up, because they don't know who to go to help them navigate around it, right? So if you have a mentor or a coach, you're able just to say, hey, this is the problem I'm having. How do I navigate it? And most likely your coach or mentor has already gone through that, right? So they're gonna have a quick answer for you saying, hey, this is exactly what you do in this situation, or this is how you pivot, or this is exactly what you need to do to basically get across the finish line here, right? So that's why I've always been a big advocate of mentorship and coaching. Is I've always learned from someone in every business that I've ever done. I've learned from someone else. And I don't know how more I can preach that to people that hate on coaching and mentorship, most of them aren't successful, for one. And they just don't realize that when you go to school, you go to learn from someone else, right? Like you're learning from a professor. And most of the time, these professors haven't ran a successful business, right? So what gives them the right, to teach you how to run a successful business? Like, why wouldn't you hire a business coach or someone that's been in the space before you and has had some success to show you how to do it? And people that think that that's weird or like the wrong thing to do, I'll never understand it, because it makes no sense to me. I've achieved all my success from listening and learning from other people. I know there's a lot of scams and a lot of people out there that shouldn't be coaching, that don't have what I think is enough knowledge about the business that they're in, or enough years of experience, and haven't been through economic downtimes and just lived life and experienced life, raised a family. Like, there's all these different things. Like, I'm not saying that a 20-year-old guy who's having success in a dropshipping business can't teach dropshipping, but I mean, they don't have those years of experience, that come with just running a business in general, not even about that specific, niche or anything like that. Number two, for I think why entrepreneurs fail, is that they didn't put in enough effort consistently. So one of the things I think is important in any business is just putting in enough time consistently, right? You can't just put in 2 hours a day, a few times a week, and expect to be, a millionaire and a success story, right? A lot of people seem to forget, especially with my situation, that there's years of grinding before I ever made it, right? And I think a lot of people, when they buy into these programs, is they think that, hey, I'm gonna become a millionaire overnight. Like, that's not how it works. So I'm just gonna tell you right now, if you plan to buy my program, you have 10 grand to your name, you're not becoming a millionaire anytime soon. Let's just get that out of the way. That's not what this is. You're not gonna get that from anyone, right? Like, it's gonna still take years and years and years. It may take you months or even years to break 10, 20K a month, right? And then, eventually you can get to 100K, but it takes time to scale. And like with any business, you need money to make money for the most part. Like when you're talking about Amazon or real estate, for Amazon, you need money for inventory. For real estate, you need money for down payments. For this business, you need money for furniture. For drop shipping, you need, to run ads, right? So it's just, every business, I think, requires somewhat of a capital investment, and even more than capital, a huge time investment. And most people aren't willing to make that. They just want to become a success without putting in any real effort. The last reason, I think it's that people don't hold out long enough to see the results, right? It's almost in conjunction with my second point. People don't give it a long enough runway to start to see the results. I think it's Jeff Bezos that said you could be basically for 4 years, not making any money, in the trenches, grinding, and just thinking that the business is gonna fail. And then in year 5, you can become a huge success, right? And that's the nature of most businesses, is that in year 1, 2, 3, that you're growing. You're not a success, right? It's long days, it's a lot of hours, it's a lot of effort to get to where you want to be. I'm not saying that you need to put in hundreds and hundreds of hours of Airbnb to make money, because you don't. But in the beginning, when you're first starting out a new business, especially Airbnb, you're gonna have to commit some time and some effort into learning the business, to scaling your first few units, until you can bring in some income, to hire VAs, to hire right people on your team to basically take you out of the business. It's the same thing I did. I got my first 7 units, and I ran them myself. So I talked to all the guests, I handled all the automations, and made sure everything was working properly. And then once I had a bit of cash flow coming in, I decided to hire full-time VAs and took myself out of the guest communication, talking to the cleaners, making sure that the homes were stocked with, toilet paper and all this stuff. Took myself out of it completely and pretty much made it about 95% passive from that point on. I even hired a revenue manager lately. I was managing my pricing and going in daily and changing, based off of availability and what the market was pricing at, I would change my prices. And finally said, I'm done with this too. I can afford a revenue manager. I'm going to completely take myself out of my business. And that's what I've done. And now every month it makes me over 6 figures passively, right? So I got to 100K a month within the first year. I think it took me 8 months to get to 100K a month, but I had a lot of capital to scale with, right? I had success in my other businesses before this, and I had money to deploy. And there's great returns in this business. If you have money to spend, you can make a lot of money in this business. If you got a few bucks to spend, there's ways to get into this business and start making some money by doing co-hosting or finding furnished rentals. Both great options if you don't have a lot of money. You can learn how to do Airbnb, you can run other people's properties, you can charge them 20% on their gross earnings, or you can find furnished rentals and arbitrage those as well. There are so many deals out there, guys. I have tens of deals every day come from my VAs saying, hey, this place accepts corporate lease. This place will work with you. We have a furnished rental over here. We have a great deal over here. We have free weeks over here. We have 2-3 months free rent here. No security deposits. They're everywhere. You just got to look and find them. And if you really put in some time and effort into this business, you can make a lot of money with very little effort, because the automations and having virtual assistants and stuff, from the Philippines that you only pay, $4, $5, $6 an hour to. It's focusing on the tasks that matter the most is what I'm trying to say. I'll end this little portion of it with, success is not easy, but the rewards are ultimately priceless. Your freedom, right? That's what we all want when we start a business like this. Like I said, I'm in the Bahamas right now. Next week I'm in Mexico. I can operate my entire business from my phone and my laptop. I can be anywhere in the world. I have the time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. And I've created that with this business and other real estate businesses in my past. You need to start with one business. You need to focus on that. You need to build that up. And then when you get to a point where I'm at, where you have hundreds of thousands of dollars every month coming in, you can start buying real estate to offset your taxes. You can start building other businesses. You can invest in the stock market and make a modest return. Yeah, it's just you can't do it all at once, right? You can't invest in all these things and try to grow a business. Like, you got to focus on one thing. I want to talk about doubt now as well. Doubt is a part of every entrepreneur's journey. You need to learn to recognize it and challenge that self-doubt. Doubt is a natural part of any entrepreneurial journey, but it doesn't have to derail your process. Remember, every successful entrepreneur faced doubt somewhere along their journey. A strong body creates a strong mind. That's a quote given directly to me from Andrew Tate. I had the pleasure of speaking to him a year ago or so, and he basically, I gave him a couple questions, but one of them was basically how I've struggled for a long time to just get into the shape that I want to be. I've always focused on my businesses and my family, and money always came first and health always came second. And he said that quote to me, and it motivated me, man. I was probably 60 pounds heavier when I talked to him. So, since then, I've basically been dieting, I've been in the gym, I've been walking more, I've been more active, and I've shed off 60 pounds. And I gotta say, in that time frame, my businesses and everything that I'm doing has exploded, because I now feel more confident in myself. It comes out. You don't even realize that when you feel better about your body, just this confidence about you comes out, and you start doing things that you never thought you could do, like doing a 25-minute YouTube video, because years ago when I was overweight and I was shy, I had stage fright, and even in high school I never wanted to get up and talk in front of everyone. So anything good in life is going to take time. It's not instantaneous, whether it comes to getting in shape or running a successful business or making lots of money. So you just from the get-go have to tell yourself, hey, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm gonna commit to this. And the more consistent you are and the more hours you put in and the longer you do it, the better results that you're gonna get with anything. And back to, like I said, having a healthy body and exercising and going to the gym, you're gonna create these very good habits that are going to transition into your business, and you are going to become a better, more successful entrepreneur the better shape that you're in, period. There are a lot of fat guys and overweight guys that are millionaires, and I was one of them too, but I can tell you that there's more in shape millionaires, I think, than out of shape millionaires. And I've even noticed since I've started to lose the weight and exercise and get to the gym, that everything in my life has gotten better. My family life, I'm a better dad, I'm more patient, I have more energy, I'm doing better at business, a better husband. Like, all these things have transitioned from just taking care of my body and exercising, right? We're definitely gonna have to cut this up. I hope you guys are still with me at this point. It's a beautiful day in Bahamas and I'm sitting here talking to you guys, but this is what it's all about. I'm here to inspire you guys, and hopefully you can get some value from this video and maybe make some changes in your life, and be 1% better every day. I'm gonna wrap this up with some of my favorite books. This is not in any particular order, but these are 5 of my most favorite books. I think they have a huge impact on, mindset, the way you think about money, the way you think about, friends and business partners, happiness, the way you look at business. The first book is The 4-Hour Workweek. This book revolutionizes the way we think about work and lifestyle design. It offers practical solutions for achieving more with less effort. And let's be real, that's what every business owner wants. They want to make more money with less effort, right, guys? So this is a great book. The second book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And I'm sure you've heard of this book, but if you haven't read it, it's probably one of the best reads. It's about a rich dad, which is his biological dad, and his best friend's dad, which is a rich, successful entrepreneur, and just the perspectives between both. And it basically gives you a lot of, value in wisdom and lessons on building wealth and financial independence. Guys, it's a great book. Please, if you haven't read it, go read it. It'll change the way you see things. The third book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Guys, the title says it all. The better you can communicate with people, have influence over people, network with people, and just understand people and how they work and how to create relationships, especially now in a world, that's taken over by technology and social media. Kids growing up these days, they don't know how to talk to anyone. They don't know how to have that human-to-human connection. And if you know how to do that and you know how to just create those relationships with people, you're gonna get a lot further ahead in your life and business because you're able to talk to people, you're able to understand them, you're able to listen, you're able to influence. All these different things they talk about in this book will really help propel you forward when it comes to creating those business relationships. Number 4, Atomic Habits. This is probably one of my favorite ones. This book talks about, like I said earlier in the video, 1% better every day, making small changes daily to create better habits versus trying to just go from 0 to 100% new person overnight. You're gonna fail because you tried to take that leap and that jump way too quick. You're not gonna like it. You're not gonna know what's going on. You're gonna get frustrated and you're just gonna end up back or to maybe even worse than you were before versus making small improvements every day. Like I said, going to the gym every day, just creating a schedule where you're exercising for an hour every day for weeks, and then you finally got into the gym. Now you've went for 2 weeks. Now you can start lifting weights, but instead of going right to the heavy weights, you start off with the small weights. You do those for a few weeks, right? And you work your way up. You slowly make progress every day versus just going to the gym, cranking all the weights, and then being sore and being like, oh, fuck this. I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to be sore every day, right? But if you had have just went and done these things slowly and started off, with baby steps, you would have said, wow, I like this. Like I can handle it. And then as your body adjusts, you can handle more and more and more, and you keep progressing. You keep getting 1% better every day. Guys, great book. Please go and read it. And I'm gonna wrap this up with a book called Think Rich and Grow Rich. Guys, this is a great book on mindset and just the principles behind success from some of the most successful people, right? And just the way that they look at the world, the way they think, the way they do business. And yeah, it's a great read, guys. I'm gonna talk about a few things. Being a successful entrepreneur, you're gonna need some time management skills. It's essential for running your own business. Utilizing time blocking techniques, maybe putting your phone in the other room so you don't get distracted, things like this so you can just lock in and work. Very important when it comes to any business and Airbnb. Another big thing is over-analysis paralysis. You've probably heard that word before, where basically people get stuck in the zone where they can't make a decision because they are looking at too much data or they're overthinking things instead of just going with their gut, going with what they've learned and saying, everything looks right and I just need to take a calculated risk, right? Guys, everything in business, you're gonna have to take that leap of faith and eventually you're gonna have to make a decision. And if you're not able to make a decision because you're too scared of, maybe the bad outcome that could come instead of the good income, then you're gonna get stuck in that over-analysis paralysis, they call it. You're never gonna be able to achieve any sort of success because you can't make a fucking decision. I'm gonna wrap this video up with that. It's been quite a long video. I might have to do another one on this, but if you guys like what I'm putting out and you like what you're hearing and it's inspiring you, please drop a comment, like, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be dropping some more Airbnb stuff. We're gonna get into talking with landlords, how to source a deal, market analysis, how to furnish a unit, how to hire cleaners, how to automate, how to do the whole Airbnb business. But I wanted to start with the basics, introduce myself, teach you what rental arbitrage is, teach you about mindset and what you need to focus on to be a successful entrepreneur. And now we're gonna get into how to create a business and then all the other fun stuff, guys. So take it easy. We'll see you on the next one.